presenting the new backdrop for the reviews, which is pretty much identical to the last backdrop, except this one has wheels. Check out these wheels. Real wheeling action. Woo! Okay. I'm like, knowing my luck, I would knock one of these lights off or something. Obviously going to put some wanted posters and some other stuff up there. I have the Straw Hats Jolly Roger, like the actual flag. I could put that up there. So that's it's all coming together. Actually, that was the last big thing I had to assemble in this house for right now. The desk, bookcases, media shelf, and then that thing. I do have a sword rack, like a little sword rack, like a four-tiered one, you know, to keep Zoro's katanas. But other than that, I think we're pretty much good. So yes, and the review's going to be out this Sunday like normal. Actually, no, it'll be out a little bit later in the day because I'm going to be out of town and I have to get back. But it should be out still on Sunday, so just look for that. Right, so what are we tackling today? Oh, well, I see we have Admiral Aokiji over here as Barry's special late-night guest star at 12:20 in the afternoon, but okay. Actually, when I suggested I'm going to get a picture of my old studio and frame it and put it up, somebody actually told me, hey, you should just take the picture of your old room and then use it as a backdrop for Barry's late-night talk show scene. And I'm like, that's a great idea! So here today we have Admiral Aokiji, former Admiral Aokiji, who is unfortunately missing an arm. The box he was in with all my other figures, they made it okay. All of the other pieces are alright, but missing Aokiji's arm. So if on your travels you're just walking down the street and you happen to see Aokiji's arm sitting on the ground, could you send it over to me? I think I lost it somewhere. Poor Aokiji. He lost a leg in his fight with Aki Inu, and now he also lost an arm along the way. I mean, not a big deal for him, honestly, because he does have the Hiya no Mi. He does have the ice powers. He can just regrow an arm, and he can even like bend fingers and everything like that because he can control the ice essentially. But poor Aokiji. All right. So, yesterday when I talked about Robin being the key to everything, you know, all of these different organizations, you know, the world government, the Marines, plus the Yonko are all going to be looking for Robin to capture her in order to read the Road Poneglyphs, in order to get to Laugh-Tale, because we're moving into this final saga. A question that often gets brought up, well, actually, I haven't heard this question brought up in a while, but I remember it popped up all the time, and I'll tell you exactly when it popped up, okay? Remember back, it was during around Sabaody, Amazon Lily, Impel Down. I don't remember exactly where in the story it was mentioned, but it was revealed that the Marines have sea prism coating on their ships. It was mentioned that one of Dr. Vegapunk's new scientific advancements for the Marines was figuring out a way to take sea prism, and I don't know if he turns it, because sea prism is like pretty dense. It's like harder than diamond, so I don't know if he like figured out a way to like liquefy sea prism or make a resin or something out of it, but he figured out some way to apply sea prism to the bottom hulls of Marine ships. So that way they can sail through the comm belt, so they can have like a propulsion engine, and they can have this sea prism coating, and so they can sail effectively through the comm belt, not worrying about Sea Kings coming and attacking them. Now, that still does happen every once in a while, especially when they stayed moored in one location for very long, like in Momonga's case, when he went to Amazon Lily. That might have actually have been when it was. Also, it was talked about when Kobe and Helmeppo visited Luffy and everybody at Enies Lobby, not as post Enies Lobby in Water 7, they mentioned that they did not go through Reverse Mountain, that there's other ways the Marines have of entering the Grand Line. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. The point is, after that development was revealed, people questioned, like, okay, why can the Marines just not sail directly into the New World, directly into Laugh-Tale, like find the island? You know, how come the Marines have not located Laugh-Tale yet? Now, of course, there's way more to getting to Laugh-Tale than just sailing into the Grand Line, but keep in mind, back then, we were under the impression that, like, getting into the Grand Line was an insanely difficult thing to do. Like, you had to go up Reverse Mountain, there was no other way to get in, and then the Marines are like, actually, no, we have ways of getting in and out of the Grand Line whenever we so desire. I'm like, oh, cool, why don't you go straight to Laugh-Tale then? And so ever since then, you know, especially during the flashback Whitebeard had right before he died, Whitebeard remembered his last meeting with Roger, and Roger was like drinking sake, and he tells Whitebeard, you know, I'm not long for this world, Whitebeard, I'm going to die soon, matey. You want to know how to get to Laugh-Tale, whatever, I can tell you, you know, glug, glug, glug. And Whitebeard, you know, of course, he had the really boss answer to that of like, not really. I really don't particularly care about finding that place or finding the treasure or becoming king of the pirates. Not really my cup of tea. Instead, Whitebeard asks Roger about the Will of D in that instance, but just the way Roger spoke about it, it implied, okay, even back then, before we even knew about the Road Poneglyphs, there's something else in order to get to Laugh-Tale, something else you need to do. And it was, of course, finally revealed during the Zoe arc that you need the Road Poneglyphs in order to locate the location. Locate the location? Yes, locate the location, Barry. This is why you're the talk show host and I just blab into the camera. Okay, I still want to talk about this because pirates are one thing. Pirates that are, for the most part, they're a little organized, but, like, they're pirates, like the Marines and the world government and the Cypher Pole is an entire organization that is built on, this foundation that has lasted over 800 years. They are the world government for a reason. They have connections all over the planet. I think over 170 nations are part of the world government, as was stated by Spondum back in Ennie's lobby when he pointed to the flag. This flag represents 170 nations. You couldn't possibly burn it down. Hey, Saga King, burn down that flag. It's not really going to do anything. It's just going to show him we're serious. I don't want this guy to, have any moment of confidence in this battle, and then Usopp burns it down. So 170 nations are allied. They have the intelligence organizations. They have the Marines. They have the battleships. They have all these strong. They have the warlords working for them, plus all the government agents that are just out and about in the world. All the information they have access to, all that stuff at Marijois and in Castle Pangea and everything. Why can they not locate Laugh-Tale? Because you'd assume, like, at that point, you could just be like, all right, send a bunch of Marine battleships, send a bunch of government ships, Cypher Pole, send it into the New World. Because, they know Roger found it, and I'm sure that the Gorosei and Eam know where it's, like, generally located in the New World. They at least know it's in the New World, right? Like, obviously. Like, they would know that much. They're like, okay, Roger went into the New World, he found this mythical island, Laugh-Tale, he found the One Piece, this great treasure somewhere in the New World. So that narrows it down right away. And so it's like, okay, after 800 years... because remember, when Roger found Laugh-Tale, he expressly stated, we are the first people, the Roger Pirates. So Roger, Rayleigh, Odin, Crocus, Seagull, Guns, Nosden. First people to find Laugh-Tale in 800 years. No one else has stepped foot on this island since. There might have even have been something on Laugh-Tale to indicate that, the Marines or the Gorosei or the world government did not find it first. It was like Joy Boy and the Clan of D that put the treasure there, and then 800 something years later, boom, that's when Roger found it, okay? So with that being said, it begs the question, of course, why have the Marines found it? Well, there's a couple of things you got to keep in mind here. Number one, the Gorosei and the world government have a lot of secrets. Like, a lot of secrets that they do not want people to know. Even high-ranking individuals. Like, do you think the Gorosei are going to come clean and tell Sakazuki everything? I mean, he's the fleet admiral. He's the one in control of the Marines, ostensibly. He's the one that controls this military arm of the world government. They're not going to tell him everything. They're not going to tell him everything they know. Sakazuki definitely, I can guarantee, does not know about the existence of Eam. And so, it might be a situation where the Gorosei might know where it is. Like, because I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, if Eam is connected to the Void Century, like, maybe is some sort of immortal zombie, or a ghost, or a vampire, or a lich, I don't know what the hell Eam is. But if Eam is connected in that sort of way, some sort of immortal being, and Eam might not be immortal, Eam might just be a title, the same thing with the Gorosei, like, 100 years ago there were different Gorosei than there are now, 100 years ago there might have been a different Eam, whatever. Because Eam is so mysterious, I'm just going along with the logic that Eam is some sort of immortal ghost, until we find out more information. But not only that, like, even if you disregard that, like, let's say they're not immortal, they're just regular humans, the amount of information that was stockpiled is immense. So if they know what happened during the Void Century, if they know what the Ancient Kingdom's name was, if they know what the Will of D is, now the Will of D is a little different because Sengoku knows about that. Okay, so that's implied, that's like not as much of a carefully guarded secret. I mean, it is a secret, but there are high-ranking members of the Marines and the world government that do know about that. My point is, at the end of the day, if they know all these secrets, they probably know where Laugh-Tale is. Now you might say, it was like, well, in order to get to Laugh-Tale, though, you need the Road Poneglyphs. But if the Road Poneglyphs are the same as they were back then it's still a fixed location. You see the problem here. I can understand if Laugh-Tale was sort of something similar to Zou, where Zunisha is a mobile sort of, well, it's an elephant, but a mobile country that moves around, and you could never pinpoint its location. If Laugh-Tale was something like that, I could understand it. Where, you can't just like, oh, follow these coordinates and you'll reach Laugh-Tale. You need the Road Poneglyphs for that to find the exact location. But even once you do, you've charted the location. So, for example, Crocus has been to Laugh-Tale before. Crocus, if he wanted to, could have just told the Straw Hats, it's at this location. Maybe the equivalent of longitude and latitude in One Piece. I don't think they have that. I mean, they have it. It's a spherical Earth, but I don't know if they actually have longitude and latitude. But my point is, like, Crocus has been there before, so if he decided to chart the location on a map, then it's like, you don't need the Road Poneglyphs. You've just skipped over that entire step. Here are the coordinates. Just here they are. There might be other stuff along the way. Like, I always thought that there would be, like, a crazy storm raging constantly, like the Bermuda Triangle or some massive hurricane swirling around the island. Maybe the Road Poneglyphs don't just tell you where to go, but they also tell you, like, maybe each of the Poneglyphs, like, explain a different catastrophe that you have to overcome, and the Poneglyph gives you the way to get through it. And considering it's the New World and the Grand Line here, these catastrophes could be, insane. Like, they could be like, yeah, so the first catastrophe in order to get to Laugh-Tale is there's this giant cloud shaped like a donut, and then Katakuri's like, a giant cloud shaped like a donut that is constantly raining down lightning. Like Raijin Island, but even more than that. Like, it's like basically an indestructible barrier of lightning. And in order to get through it, you need to pass through on this exact location in this exact way. It's like in a video game. It's like, remember Final Fantasy X and the Thunder Plains when you had those lightning strikes and you have to dodge them like 100 times or 200 times in a row or whatever to get that special sword or something? Kind of something like that. Like, okay, there's a giant electrical force field all around Laugh-Tale, and the only way to get in is you have to pass this exact location by saying a password at the same time, and if you mess it up, your entire ship gets incinerated at 5,000 Kelvin or whatever like that, right? So maybe there's something like that. Maybe there's like actual physical barriers. I feel like there would have to be, because if there isn't a physical barrier, then, just like, oh, send all the government ships, send the marine ships. Over the course of 800 years, they would have found the damn place. I mean, I know the ocean is big, but a world centralized government with absolute power and 800 years of time on their hands, I feel like they would have just found it by accident at this point. Even if they don't want to, like, take all of the Marines, because obviously that's, the Marines have other things to do. They have to take care of other islands that paid the heavenly tribute and all that. But even if it's like, okay, here's a scouting regiment of the Marines that only exists to send out scouting vessels to look for Laugh-Tale. And this organization has existed ever since the world government was founded. There's a fly in here. Fly, Chun! I want an anime opening for this fly. I want Fly Chun's anime series to premiere next month. Guarantee it. Okay, it's going to happen. All right. But no, anyway. Welcome to the show, Fly Chun, wherever you are. I don't know. They could just have a scouting regiment and constantly look for it. You think they would bump into it at some point with how much damn time they've had on their hands, right? Then again, you also have to understand, a reason that might not work is because Vegapunk's, scientific discoveries are very recent. Like in only the last few decades or so, he's been developing that kind of stuff. So it wasn't maybe until recently that they were able to actually explore the oceans as effectively as they are because of, Vegapunk and everything like that. But okay, so going back to it, let's say the Gorosei know exactly where it is. Like, they have the fixed point for Laugh-Tale, but they choose not to go there. It's not about the Gorosei going to Laugh-Tale, because they know where it is. They might even know what the One Piece is. Like, okay, we know what the treasure is. We know what's there. We know the Rio Poneglyphs are there. It's just, it's impossible to gain entry to the island unless you are, like, the luckiest person on the planet. Like, the luckiest bastard to ever exist. And even if you have the Road Poneglyphs, it's still not easy to get there. You still have to get super lucky with maybe avoiding disasters. And maybe the Gorosei are like, it's not worth it. it's not worth us going there and picking up the treasure and bringing it back to Marijois. The treasure itself, I mean, I like to think the One Piece treasure is part of it, not the whole thing, is just a massive pile of gold and rubies and doubloons and gold Krugerrands and all that kind of stuff. And, everything Nami would just be like, oh my god, and like jumping like Scrooge McDuck. That's part of the treasure, just a massive pile of gold. But then there's more important stuff, like the Rio Poneglyphs, something maybe relating to the Red Line, or Castle Pangea, or the Lunarians, or Sun God Nika, and all that kind of stuff is located in the area. But maybe it's not something super tangible that you can just pick up and take with you. Like maybe the gold is, but like the Gorosei are like, we know there's a bunch of gold there, we know there's valuable artifacts like the Rio Poneglyph, but if the Gorosei already know what the true history is, they don't need the Rio Poneglyphs. The only thing that it would be useful is to take them back to Castle Pangea and put them in the safe in the vault, the same vault where the giant straw hat is. But it might be a situation of like, what's the point? If this island is so hard to get to that nobody's gained access to it for 800 years until Roger finally found it. For many centuries, they just decided there's no point, right? But then Roger found it, and he's like, oh shit, somebody actually managed to find the dang island. Damn it, that's not good. Now they know everything. Now they're the king of the pirates, all that stuff, right? And so now, since Roger found it, and he decided to leave some hints in his wake, now the Straw Hats and all the other supernovas and the Yonko and everybody are on the trail. This is making the Gorosei kind of sweat a little bit. They're like, oh man, Roger found it, and, he was going to die anyway, so he sort of turned himself in. But with the information that somebody gained at Laugh-Tale, they could truly turn this world upside down. Like, if Roger wanted to, Roger, after leaving Laugh-Tale, could be like, all right, matey. Hold on a sec. Oh, wait, do I have my sword? Do I have my pirate sword? I do. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, this is Roger. This is what if Roger wanted to really throw the world into turmoil right after leaving Laugh-Tale. All right. Well, men, that was a crazy adventure on the island of Laugh-Tale. Ha ha ha. So what do we do now, Captain Roger? Aye! What we do now is we sail and we spread this information we learned all over the world. Print out flyers, Odin. I want everything covered on exactly what the Void Century is. Screw up the Marines and the world government as much as we can. Yarg! I be Goldie Roger, king of the pirates, matey. Okay, so it could be something like that. Like, if he really wanted to, he didn't have much time left. He decided to spend it with Rouge. It's like, he decided, crazy idea for Roger. He decided to spend his twilight years with the person that he loved and trying to have a child. Crazy, right? But if he really wanted to, he could have went crazy with it. He could have went nuts with it. And he kind of sort of did. Like, the last thing he did before he died was, of course, tell everybody about the location. Or, I left everything in that one location. Go out and find it, so to speak. And so, yeah. So, if anybody's ever wondered, why didn't the Marines or the world government ever find it or just go there? I'm assuming it's for the big bulk of 800 years, nobody found it, so there's no point. And getting to it is probably very difficult. So, the idea of even, like, getting into Laugh-Tale, getting the Rio Poneglyphs and the gold and sailing it back to Marijois, that creates too much of a risk. So it's like, just leave it there. Just leave it there. No one's going to touch it. And then Roger touched it. And it's like, damn it. So, yeah, there's something like that. But yeah, now, though, things are different. Because now they're actively looking for Robin again. And everybody's kind of racing toward Laugh-Tale. This might be the situation where the Gorosei, maybe Eam would have to give this order. But Eam is like, it would appear that the pirates are nearing the end goal of the Grand Line. I think it is finally time for us to chart a course for Laugh-Tale Island. Retrieve the One Piece and the treasure at all costs, Gorosei. I will sit here and drink tea, as I am wont to do. This is how I imagine Eam talks, and we'll wait until they actually speak in order to be proven otherwise. But yeah, now it's like, okay, if Kaido's going to get there, or if Big Mom's going to get there, or if the Straw Hats are going to get there first, the Gorosei are like, okay, now we have to get involved. We didn't get involved for 800-something years, but now is the time for us to get involved. That's the crazy thing about the One Piece world, that Oda sets up that I love. Oda spins this epic world-building lore and this tale, of like all the crazy stuff that's happened in the last 800 years and the way the world is. And the events right now in the story involving the Straw Hats, involving the Warlords and the Yonko and the Marines and everybody, are the events that will take those 800 years of world building and lore and flip it upside down. This is the pivotal turning point of the One Piece world that we are actually reading. The little snippet of Luffy's adventure. There's a lot of stuff that's happened before and after. Rogers was also another pivotal point as well. But this is the moment that we're focusing on. And that's kind of what makes me really want, after One Piece is over, there's some kind of prequel series involving Roger, you know, because that would be cool to see that first moment, or maybe something in the far future. Maybe not like Luffy's son or anything, but somebody in the future maybe doing something else. But this is like a very important moment in the history of the One Piece world. Okay, well anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Tekking, Barry, special guest Aokiji, and Fly Chun floating around somewhere. So, you know, this is all shaping up to be a great adventure. This is great. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you back here next time. Tekking, signing out.